Christian View, where we are discussing church hurt and the dangers of church hurt. But this segment, we're going to discuss pastors can also be hurt by the church. And Lee, you are the perfect one to start with, because you know the investment that you make in your members. You know that you are there when they're having their babies, when they're having their funerals, and when they're on their sick beds. You have so much invested, and how somebody that you invest years in can just walk away like nothing. Just disgruntled, just leave like it's nothing.
And oftentimes without even a word to you as to why, or there's no closure. And it, you know, it really is paramount, because people expect you to treat them with respect. They expect you to understand if they're having a bad day. They expect you to be there for them. They expect you to always be above board. But the minute they feel that something, a lot of times that's beyond your control, happens, there's some osmosis that even as the pastor, you're supposed to know every little thing that happened in church or in their lives. And the minute that you don't meet all of their expectations or meet them mark, they're gone. You know,
I tell people all the time, please give me the same consideration that you want me to give you. You know, I mean, it's not that we're not there to supply one to another. We are. There are certain things that you probably can do in the congregation, but I can't, because I'm held to a stricter rule, all those kind of things. But at the same time, you have to give me, in my humanness, the same consideration, because in the process of being alive and being around you, I'm going to make my mistakes. They shouldn't be the same ones that you make, but I'm going to make my own. And so you have to also allow pastors the ability to work out their own salvation as well as they continue to grow.
Human. Like our pastor will always say, don't put me on a pedestal, because if you do, I'm going to fail you. And then he's like, and you know, if I say something that you disagree with, it's okay. We can still love each other, even if I say something
disagreeable without we can disagree without being disagreeable.
You get that a lot, where people will quickly tell you, well, you know, I love you, you know, or these things. But a lot of the time, it's the area of trust. And what type of love is that? Because, you know, the love that, you know, that I understand, the love believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. So if you love, you know, you're not as quick to jump board and leave. But it amazes me that people, even with, you know, the pastor, how there are times when even people will try to debate the position of your theology. You know, you preach a word, and then at the end of the service, you got to almost be, you know, to the place where you got to defend what you preach. You know, be ready to defend it, because there's somebody there who, as my grandmother would say, not living a nickel worth of anything. But they're going to try to tell you where you went wrong with your preaching and with the word. You know?
I like what Rick Warren says. He says that community requires commitment. And then he says that as church members, we are there to serve, not to be served. But I feel like that has gotten flipped, where, like you say, that people are looking for that one thing to call you out on, but yet where were they when, you know, service was needed?
And you know, as someone else, I served on a staff, for pastoral staff, for 9 years. And recently left that position because I felt like my family needed me. I had wanted to continue attending that church, but my husband said, no, we need to go to another church at this season in our life. He said, if you continue going there, you will not have a break from it. We won't be able to sit as a family. This is what I want. And you know, he has, and I communicated that back to my administrator and let them know. And I let them know I will always love them. And it's home to me, and I honor them. And they played a very important role in my life. It's hard to leave a church. But I think one thing, being on both sides of it, as a pastor, you have to, going back to that hospital analogy, hurting people do hurt people, like Trudy has said. And when you have a church that you're bringing in the lost, you're bringing in people who are not redeemed, they don't know the Lord, you know, you really have to guard your heart as a pastor.
And I think the people that are forgotten in all this, I really think the ones that are forgotten is when you have been in church for years and years, and all of a sudden mom or dad gets mad about something with the pastor inside the church, and they're gone. Well, what about those kids? Well, those kids have been in Sunday school, Patch Club, and all the other things, that they love the pastor, they love all the kids in the church, and all of a sudden they're pulled out. They don't know why.
And not just the members' children, but the pastor's children.
Of course.
Because, you know, the greatest way to hurt a pastor pastor is to hurt his family.
We see
you know,
it
hurt
in
if
our
he's
church.
married,
Yes,
you know,
that's
his
right.
wife and his children. And a lot of times churches, they will honor and
They don't know what
respect the
happened.
pastor, but they would disrespect his family. They will infringe on the time. And a lot of times it hurts and it leaves marks upon their kids and their family.
The flip side of that is we have to know as a church and leaders in the church that a church is a launching pad, and people will come. There are seasons.
All the time.
There are seasons that people come,
It's the revolving door.
and then you
They're gonna
bless
come,
them,
and they're gonna go.
but you bless them when they go. You don't curse them when they go.
no.
You bless them when they go, and you
Right.
know that okay, they were here for this season,
That's what I
and we're
tell 'em.
thankful. We
That's
love
what I
them,
tell 'em.
and then they move on. So,
But they are not your immediate family. You know, and but in a small church, they become your church family, Cameron.
Well, that's the point. Again, you're dealing with discipleship because, again, that's a word that we don't really like or want to say or want to be about within the churches these days. But we're supposed to be discipled in such a way so that the whole heart, mind, kingdom of God is imparted to people. And the reality is the same way that Jesus says, you know, the poor you will have with you always, the offended you will always have with you. And so because again, most of the people that come through those doors will never really give their lives to God. They'll be around for a while, but they really won't be saved. And we have to understand a lot of that is also true. So we have to take some of that hurting people, hurting other people with a grain of salt, because we almost have to expect it and be geared to being able to love them anyway.
I love the perfect church, right?
Exactly. And I love the verse as a church member that says, point out anything in me that offends you to God. You know, we're asking God, show me what I do that's offensive instead of always looking out at other people.
It's good to look in.
That's exactly. Stay with us, because when we come back, we're going to be discussing church security, and is it needed? Be right back.